Get up to Capitol Hill. The man who has a big decision to make, obviously after consulting his leader, Mitch McConnell, is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley. Our congressional correspondent, Selman Sarfati, was just part of a group questioning Chairman Grassley. Selman, what's the latest?
Well, John, Chairman Grassley, who I just spoke to just a few minutes ago, says that he is not delaying tomorrow's judiciary hearing that is scheduled for tomorrow morning with Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Cavanaugh. He said no delay in the face of these new accusations. He said it would be a disservice, it would be a disadvantage for Dr. Ford for that to be canceled. And when I asked him specifically about these latest round of accusations, he said our lawyers are on it right now. So the headline being that the hearing tomorrow still goes on, and certainly his committee, as we know, are looking into these new round of allegations. Now, I want to also highlight a tense moment that we had just moments before with Senator Orrin Hatch, who was coming out of a committee room, and of course he is peppered with questions from reporters about these new allegations. I think it's fair to say that tempers were flaring. He at one point said, "Shut up to press." A lot of back and forth. He said he is of course going to look into these new allegations, but needs time to digest them. All these tense moments, of course, just underscoring how fast moving this story is, and I think too much to the frustration of many senators as well, that they can't seem to digest every twist and turn to this story. But the headline being that Chairman Grassley says tomorrow will indeed go on. John.
Selman Sarfati on the Hill. Selman, continue your reporting. Come back when you get more. Let's bring it back in the room. So let's assume, for the sake of conversation at this moment, and this story is moving, changing very quickly every day, but assume they try to go forward with this hearing tomorrow. So if that's the case, Dr. Blasey Ford comes in and gives her testimony. Brett Kavanaugh is supposed to follow and give his testimony. If the Republicans say Julie Swetnick is not welcome, Deborah Ramirez is not welcome, so then what will happen is the Democrats will read this to Brett Kavanaugh during his questioning. One would assume the Republican attorney would ask him about it as well. The Republicans have brought in a third party. Her name is Rachel Mitchell. She's a sex crimes prosecutor for Maricopa County in Arizona. They're bringing her in there. And so this will play out without the direct testimony from the other two women, but their allegations will certainly be part of the hearing.
Yeah, I mean, you imagine if you are any of the folks on that Democratic side of the committee, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Dianne Feinstein, these allegations are going to be part of their questioning. They're going to be entered in to the record during the questioning and during the testimony. So this idea that somehow it's going to just be a he said, she said, and none of this information is going to get out to the public, that he's going to have a chance to respond to it, is just not. It's not going to be the reality, I think, tomorrow.
And just some more reaction coming in. This from our colleague Ted Barrett on Capitol Hill. John Cornyn, the majority whip, who of course sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, referred to these as, quote, reckless accusations. And when he said, my view is the longer this nomination strings out, the more you're going to get reckless accusations that have no basis in fact. So you're seeing the Republicans who are aggressively pushing this nomination, trying to dismiss these as just a smear campaign, not give these people a chance to testify under oath, but say this is just nothing, there's nothing to it. They want to move forward. The question is, though, again, what are those handful of senators who will determine the votes ultimately come?
And that handful being Jeff Flake on the committee, the most important because of his proximity to the vote. The committee, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Bob Corker, who has come the leadership's way in the last 24, 48 hours, and the silent for the past 10 days or so, Ben Sass, often independent Republican from Nebraska, who's not on the committee, but hasn't said he's not on the committee, correct?
No, he's on the committee.
He is on the committee. Yeah. He's been very quiet in recent days. So that to me is somewhat to watch. From a legal perspective, put yourself in the chair of Rachel Mitchell tomorrow, brought in by the Republicans, because, let's be honest, they have 11 white men on this committee, and they understand the optics of having white men challenge Professor Ford. How does Rachel Mitchell deal with this? A second woman and a third woman who the Republicans will not allow as witnesses, will not allow, and you have the Republican leadership essentially saying they're liars without talking to them, without looking at their information, already saying we don't believe them. How do you deal with that? Because her job is to deal with it with Kavanaugh, because otherwise the Democrats are going to go after him aggressively.
Well, let's talk first about what is her job. I mean, she's a former sex offense prosecutor, but she's clearly not acting as a sex offense prosecutor in this case. She is, as Mitch McConnell said, the Republicans' assistant. We don't even know who's going to help her write her questions, whether she's going to do her own. So I don't know what she'll do with it, but she's here on behalf of the Republicans, standing in the shoes of the Republicans on the committee. She is the Republicans' assistant. To that end, I think she ignores this. They're telling her the hearing is about Dr. Ford tomorrow. And, you know, maybe that's fine if the hearing is only about Dr. Ford tomorrow, as long as there are follow-up hearings with regard to these other women.